You know, it's not weird. Having Joey Harrington on, who called me out on X
did call you
immediately after Jared Goff's playoff win for the Detroit Lions. What up, Joey?
Am I on? I was having some technical issues there a second ago.
Yeah,
it sounded like I was in like some sort of vacuum or something.
Hey, we're in a different world now. The Detroit Lions won a playoff game, man.
Man, are you serious? Like, what? Are we 30? What was it? 33 years?
Yeah, 32.
32 years. Like that's crazy to when you think about it. Because when I got there in 2002, I mean that was the big talk. I mean that was, can we turn around a franchise? It was, you know, you had Barry Sanders and had only won one playoff game, and you know, this is an opportunity. That was 20 years ago. That was 20 years ago. And since then, there's been an 0-16 season. Since then, you had a Hall of Fame quarterback still Stafford couldn't get a playoff win. And then to see it all come together this year, I mean, how great is that? I mean, to sit there and watch it, think of all the people who tried to make that happen, and then to watch what it meant to the fans, you know, to the crowd, to the city. Like, man, that was pretty special to watch.
What was your reaction to it? Did you have any type of emotional reaction to it, being a former player?
I was just really happy, to be honest. Like, it was one of those things where you just want the city to expect. That's all any of us wanted is for the city, for the fans, for the organization to experience success, like to have that feeling, to be proud, to be proud of their team. Like it was really great to see. It was great to see the fans of a team that have been struggling for so long experience what pretty much everybody else in the NFL has experienced at least one time in the last 30 years.
And Joey, first of all, appreciate you coming on and speaking with us about this. And I just want you to break down Jared Goff's performance. Obviously, all of this on the line with him. We know the history of the Lions in the playoffs, going against his former team, the one that kind of casted him aside, and then going out there and having 82% completion percentage, putting the ball all around the field, making things happen. What did you see from the Lions quarterback?
Well, I'm not going to say I told you so, but can I say I told you so?
You can say.
I mean, is that a fair statement? Because when we talked at the beginning of the season, or I guess this was during the off season, you asked me, like, you know, when do we need to get rid of Goff, or how can we move on for him, and you know, he's not going to be the guy to take us. I mean, it was just kind of a stopgap. And I said, look, this guy threw for 4,000 yards. Who, you know, he was everything you could have hoped for from a quarterback in the playoffs. I mean, it was. This is the thing I've thought about since you know, watching some of the games this week. Sure, you're going to have. You've got Patrick Mahomes. You've got Tom Brady, right? Those guys have done it so often and are so revered. Like, people think that's the only way to do it, right? Unless you've got a Patrick Mahomes or unless you've got Tom Brady, well, you just got no chance to win a Super Bowl. But the reality is, you can win a Super Bowl with 10 to 12 quarterbacks. You just have to be able to put the right team around you, right? Look at Joe Flacco. Flacco's won a Super Bowl. Look at Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, I know he didn't win a Super Bowl, but had a 28-point lead in the Super Bowl.
Won MVP.
That should have done him to win. Yeah. Exactly. You know, and those aren't guys where you say, oh my God, they're just these dominant, you know, they're not Tom Brady. But you can win with those guys. And what Detroit has done and what Jared Goff has done is play to their strength. Right? He was he didn't have to go throw for 3. He didn't have to throw for 4 touchdowns. Right? That's the thing is he played a near flawless game in the playoffs on the biggest stage and allowed the guys around him to shine as well. And that's what's so cool about this team is you can go down a list of guys, whether it's Amon-Ra St. Brown, whether it's, Hutchinson, but there's also, the Penei Sewells, like the guys that, there are, they have the pieces, they've got an attitude, they got people who enjoy their role, who know their role, and who understand that, I may not be a superstar, but if I do what I'm being asked to do, this team can win, and that's what they did.
Joey, there's another, redemption story kind of happening over there in Tampa Bay, too, with Baker Mayfield being a former number 1 overall pick, with other teams, made the playoffs, won a playoff game, too. How far do you expect the Detroit Lions to go after this past Sunday, and with Baker Mayfield and the Bucs being a hurdle in front of them right now?
If you're looking at it on paper, you think that Detroit's going to be playing San Francisco in the NFC Championship game. That being said, Baker Mayfield is scrappy as hell. I mean, the guy is truly playing with a chip on his shoulder. Not unsimilar, not that dissimilar from Jared Goff. Very different personalities, right? But both guys who, were kind of cast aside from where they were and have had to prove themselves. Look, that Tampa team is scrappy. They've got a Hall of Fame wide receiver in Mike Evans. They've got some great role players. And, yeah, they haven't been incredibly consistent all year, but, they're going to fight. I can't see them coming into Ford Field and winning the game. With what I saw from Detroit, not just the play on the field, but I mean, let's be honest. Like Ford Field is gonna come unglued. Like that is going to be one of the most unbelievable football atmospheres you're going to have in the NFL this season. And that's going to be a tough place for any visiting team.
It's going to be amazing. And speaking of, this Tampa team and looking at that defense and what they did to Jalen Hurts, where they blitzed him, they blitzed every drop.
Brought the house, yep.
What would you do as a quarterback to prepare for that? Seeing like that's what Todd Bowles likes to do. He's going to be pressure or bring pressure. How do you get ready for that as a quarterback?
You have to be prepared. That's because without getting into too much X's and O's, as a quarterback, you want a team to bring pressure. That's when you hit big plays, right? You are banking, or they are banking that they're going to get home before you get the ball out of your hands. So what do? You have hot routes to combat it. You study. You learn tendencies to slide and protect in those situations, so you can have the time to make the throw down the field in one-on-one matchups. But I used to love when people would bring pressure, because when you and your wide receivers are on the same page and see what's coming, like that's when you have a superstar like Amon-Ra St. Brown and a quarterback like Goff who can get the ball out of his hand. Like this is the type of game where you see a slant go for 75, right? This is the type of game where they bring pressure and you've got a screen pass called up, right? And you dump it over the top to Laporta, who takes it 50 yards down the middle for a big play. Like, those are the kind of things that you do against a defense that blitzes a lot. And those are the type of plays that can energize a crowd, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown breaks one tackle on a hitch route, and all of a sudden there's nobody to help because they're bringing pressure, and he's taken off down the sideline, and Ford Field comes to life. I mean, that's what you are going to see when Jared Goff and the Lions offense have prepared and are ready for that Tampa Bay pressure.
Our producer Chris has a real quick question too.
Yeah, and this is something. Speaking of Jared Goff, and and the storyline, we knew the biggest storyline was him versus his old team. Coming back and just kind of being the ultimate right you're wrong, the ultimate redemption play. And that's something that my boy Chad brought up to me too, who's been a fan of you for a while. That you kind of had an experience of that after going to Miami and then coming back and being able to beat Detroit. So you probably know better than anybody how good does that feeling have to be for Goff to be able to come back and beat your former team? Like as a competitor, how does that feel?
I can't speak for Jared because one, I don't know him, and I don't know what he's feeling. Time heals wounds, right? I would have to guess that after a couple years, after establishing yourself as the leader of this Detroit Lions team, after doing what he's done with this team and in that city, oftentimes it's what seems like something that's a slap in the face at the time ends up opening a door that turns into something great. And I think that's my guess is probably that would be the way that Jared's looking at it. That being said, there's always something nice to giving it back to the team that didn't want you. So I'm sure there was a little bit of that, but at this point, with what Detroit and Goff have in front of them, like it's one of those situations where I think it probably worked out best for both.
That's a great point.
That is a great point.
I guess one other question to ask you too before you go, because recently another number 1 overall pick, Cam Newton, had something to say about game changers and game managers. I guess I was wondering your perspective on that. And is it an insult to call a guy like Jared Goff a game manager versus like a Josh Allen being called a game manager?
I think the idea of a game manager, I say, is overblown. Everybody thinks that if you're a game manager, they're calling you Trent Dilfer, right?
Yeah.
Well, let's also not forget that Trent Dilfer managed his way to a Super Bowl, right? Your job as a quarterback is to manage the game. Like that is your very basic job. And like I said at the start, there's only a handful of guys. When I was playing, it was Brady, it was Breeze, it was Peyton, and then maybe a little bit of Aaron Rodgers, where you could truly pick them up and put them in any situation, and they were going to go out and they were going to change, they were going to take over a game. Everybody else in the NFL really falls into that game manager, and I would say that it's not really. Are you a game mismanager, right? The guys that fall in the bottom half of the league, they're the ones who mismanage the game. They're the ones who throw the interceptions at the wrong time. The guys who manage a game. Russell Wilson's a game manager. Russell Wilson has 2 Super Bowl appearances, right? So I think that's kind of my point, and what I remember talking with you guys about, before the season is just because Jared Goff isn't a superstar doesn't mean that guy can't win you a Super Bowl. Right? Just because he's not going to go out and, he's a laid-back dude. He doesn't have the intensity of Tom Brady. Nobody does. But that doesn't mean that managing a game to the tune of 80% completion percentage, 275 yards and a touchdown isn't going to win you a playoff game. I mean, that's the thing, is people hear game manager and they think, oh, man, he sucks. I hear game manager and I think, you know what? This is a guy who's going to put his team in a position to win games. And with the NFL, what is it? 70% of the games are decided by a touchdown or less. I mean, it is. Yeah. It truly is a game. I've been on the other side of that. Where you got a chance to win and you throw a pick. You make a mistake. Like, that is truly the difference between the teams that consistently win and the teams that consistently lose, is having somebody to manage those situations. And I think Jared's done a hell of a job.
When it comes to contract, how do you measure paying, I guess, a game manager versus a guy that you would call a game changer?
Well, you got to pay him less. I mean, that's that's I guess what the market would dictate. But hell, I guess that's why I'm not on that side of the business, right?
Yeah.
And I was never really one. we can get into this, a whole other time. But I think I technically played my first practice without a contract signed, because I was like,
wow.
hell, I'm not gonna be holding out for any sort of money. So
That's crazy.
just get me on the field. So yeah, honestly, he's gonna make plenty of money. He's gonna get paid. All those guys will. I guarantee you. And this is the thing, like, the difference between $40 million or $42 million, at the end of the day, it's a hell of a lot of money. Like, guarantee you, every single person in the NFL would give that money, would give the difference of, like, if you told them, hey, I'm going to give you $42 million a year, and you're going to make the playoffs and never win a Super Bowl, or I'm going to give you $39 million a year and you're going to win a Super Bowl, I guarantee you every single one of them would take that 39 and walk out with a ring.
And Joey, again, we appreciate you for being on. I do want to ask you something quick about this Detroit Lions team. Is this the most complete team you've seen? This is a team that has 6 All-Pros. It's got 2 guys that made the first team All-Pro. 2 guys in their rookie contract making first-team All-Pro. Penei Sewell, at 23 years old, is the best offensive lineman in the NFL. You have Jared Goff, who should have made a Pro Bowl. Amon-Ra, who should have made a Pro Bowl. Is this the most complete Lions team that you've seen?
Man. I mean, I'd be hard-pressed to find another one. Herman Moore, Barry Sanders, Calvin Johnson, Matthew Stafford, and Ndamukong. Like, there have been some great players through the years, but I think this is what makes this team different, and this is what makes this team special. And it's the reason that they've won the organization's first playoff game in 30 plus years, is because they are more than just 1 or 2 superstars. Like, this is a team that has truly bought into the idea, and I guarantee you Dan Campbell is preaching this. Like, individual success will come with buying into team success, and I think that this team exemplifies that.
Joey, man, I appreciate you joining us. Sorry for taking time out of your day. I guess real quick, Super Bowl prediction before I let you go.
What prediction? The Super Bowl prediction?
Yeah.
Oh man. let's not put the cart before the horse here, right?
Deal. All right.
Yeah. Let's just enjoy one week at a time and see where this thing goes.
Anything you got going on you'd like to promote before we let you get going?
No, not me. I'm just stuck at home in an ice storm.
I'll tell you what, I do feel gross rooting for the Packers for a second week in a row.
Yeah.
But I want, if we could
gross.
host the NFC Championship game, oh my goodness.
Against the Packers at home?
Yeah.
That wouldn't be too bad. Although I wouldn't, if I was a betting man, I wouldn't be putting money on that one.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that one. We appreciate you so much, Joey.
One more time, real quick. We have a listener all the way from California. He says he's born and raised California, now in Arizona. Only reason why he's a Detroit Lions fan is because of you, Joey. So he wanted to give you a shout out.
I appreciate it, man. That's that dude must be a pretty old fan.
Joey, I appreciate you, brother. You have a good day, man.
Thank you so much, Joey.
All right, guys. Hey, good luck this weekend.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.